Hey, it's Bill.
Lovely Earl Brown.
Whoop, whoop.
I remember you were kind of geeking out when you auditioned with him.
I was. We saw like a lot of people for Bill, and there was a lot of like stars that came in. I was really surprised. Like, but then when he walked in, I was like, holy crap, it's Dan Dougherty from Deadwood.
He's amazing to work with. I've worked with him before a while ago, and I just love working with him.
You actually hit him in the scene in the face.
That's right.
I did.
Right there, and we kept it. And he kept going. What a trooper.
That's one of my favorite things, is when he goes, am I dead?
He was sick that day.
Yeah.
He was like getting over a cold.
I did hit him, and I felt so bad because it was a complete accident. I think I didn't realize my swing was going a lot faster than I thought it was.
Of many people that you hit during the shoot of this project.
Yeah.
Getting into
happens.
character. Well, I also love this business that he's doing here too. That was something that he completely made up. He's like, you know, working on the sword and.
I love this. Again, I love this moment. This paternal thing. Like, just shut up, kid. I need to handle this.
He's always a dad.
Actually, Bill, they are.
Well, it don't matter because I don't have a car that works.
But there is one in this town.
Parts. There are parts in this town.
Meaning that you could fix one up.
All right.
It gives in.
And I love just taking that time. Take that pause.
All right. It's on the other side of town. Now you help me go gather it, and maybe I can put something together that runs. But after this, I owe you nothing.
That's fine. A couple days from now, we'll probably be dead anyway.
And it's like opening handcuffs, but again, I see it as this almost tender moment between Joel and Ellie.
Stay right on my ass.
Can't miss it.
Another great Ellie line. Smart ass.
Remember the rehearsal for all these scenes? So we would shoot these things in chunks. So we'd bring like Earl in and Ashley and Troy and just shoot we're gonna shoot the whole Bill sequence. And talking to Bill, and he's about to talk about a partner that he's had. We've talked, there was a question that brought up, is like, what kind of partner is this? And Earl asked, is Bill gay? And I said, well, he could be. I mean, it's really up to you.
Well, no, you gave the standard response of,
What do you think? Because I really want him to own it. I thought he was when I wrote the part, but I really wanted the actor to own it, and he did. I mean, he made that decision to make him a gay character. And again, it's not something we ever explicitly say, except for the magazine that Ellie steals.
Right. But again, instead of making that a point and something, it's just a cute little piece of exposition.
Let me tell you a story.
Well, and from a narrative structural standpoint, what Bill is there to show is, here's what happens when you survive on your own in this world. It's like you're alone and miserable and a little bit crazy, and it's what could happen to Joel if he keeps going down this path of just doing whatever he takes to survive.
So you know what I did? Wisen the fuck up.
And also, Bill is there to kind of give Joel the warning, is like, you go down this world, you care for people, you will get hurt.
Hey! What'd I say to you when we walked down the steps?
And that's where Ellie has stolen a bunch of Bill's stuff.
I love that flips him off.
God damn it. You keep babysitting long enough and eventually...
I love that line of fixing the stupid pile. Because I feel like that's something a kid would say when you're trying to cover, when you're it's
Right.
nothing specific.
I was just stealing all your stuff.
Fix the pencils over here.
Oh, this is the one where we abused Troy. I was like, you have to fly face first into the ground. And he's like, but I should roll. No, fly face first into the ground.
It was like, well, if I roll this way, then actually, they're like, it looks too ninja. We can't do it. So I literally just had to eat shit time after time again. It's like seeing stars. It was great.
Please tell me you're done!
Yeah, just You guys are acting against nothing. There's nothing there.
And something we always had to remember was bring the tension back.
Left too that he closes a glass door like that's gonna do much.
Yeah, right.
So that worked out well.
Oh, the thing I love here is that, well, that Bill constantly brings up Tess, not knowing that
Right.
Tess is dead because Joel doesn't want to talk about it.
Right.
But here it gets to Joel. And this is something that you guys actually just improvised. That wasn't in the script. This big fight that happens here. It was much more low key in the script.
Yeah, once he brings up Tess, that was something we kind of keyed in on.
Jesus. What, you know this guy or something?
Frank,
Who the hell's Frank?
he was my partner.
They're both kind of lying to each other. If you think about the previous scene, right? He mentioned this partner, but almost like I didn't care about him. I let him go, and you realize that's not the truth at all. He
Right.
really cared for this guy, and this guy probably left him.
Yeah.
He's got
I love how clinical he is about this.
here.
With that look on his face says everything.
Well, that turn too that Earl did with, he realizes Joel is looking at him and he's being vulnerable right now, and he puts the mask back on.
Yeah.
And I remember like seeing that moment from Earl. I was like, yeah, we cast the right guy.
Well, fuck him.
And then that turn right there. Which again is kind of why Bill, what purpose Bill serves in the story, is to show that having those moments of emotion, there's nothing he feels, there's nothing but weakness.
Get out. Get out.
I love it.
That relationship
Out.
between the two of you,
I
it
love
was so
it.
good. That's
Yeah.
what was great about the cast, is constantly having to switch from these really serious, dramatic vulnerabilities to playing tough, right? Because that's what you kind of have to do in this world, is let your humanity come out, but then learn when to shut that off to survive. And also, you're seeing it's very subtle here, but you're starting to see this change in Joel, where he's given Ellie more and more responsibility. He's trusting her. Instead of just saying, stay out of my way, he's like,
Right.
I need your help.
This is a good point that, you know, in case people weren't aware of the process. I mean, everyone at this stage, we had such great sets, even though it's kind of rudimentary, but they actually built a truck for us, and we used that truck so many times. But I think this was the last scene that we shot with Earl.
Yeah, and rehearsal, that I would try to give you guys as much of concept art and videos that we had,
Right.
so you can imagine the space, because you have nothing there to act off of except each other.
That's right.
You guys have each other.
It's true.
And I love this exchange between Bill and Joel too, because you know it's Joel trying to kind of apologize for an awkward situation and trying to show some sensitivity to him, and Bill just completely glosses over it. And
The thing with Joel that I kind of admire, like, he can't come up with the right words. He can never come up with the right words. I was like, it's like a half sentence. He's like, so, yeah.
and Bill kind of finishes that for him, but it's his,
Which really helps my writing. This theme comes in here because to show Joel's now alone with Ellie, but the relationship has changed. This is starting to become that theme we heard in the beginning with Sarah. Now we're getting into the first scene we ever shot, and this is your guys' edition right here.
yeah.
Yeah, this was the first audition scene when I came in, when I read for you guys, along with another scene that I don't know if it's in the game or it
It's not in
probably
the game.
changed a little
It's
bit.
like the scene with the Walkman.
Yeah, the scene with the Walkman.
There's a scene.
Yeah.
There was the scene kind of like it, but it's pretty different.
Back at Bill's. I mean, all this stuff was just lying there.
What else did you get?
Well, and I especially love this because especially at this point we had no idea
Here.
who Bill really was.
That is actually before my...
How many times did we come back to this scene? Like at
God,
least 3 times.
Yeah, at least 3 times. I love what she says. I was like, hey, you know who this is? And the different versions of songs that we ran through with this too is great.
I'm sure your friend will be missing this tonight.
That's
like-
the guy on the cover is John Sweeney, one of our concept artists.
That's awesome.
How the hell would he even walk
Is the
around
centerfold
that
also
big?
his penis?
What is this about?
We should have that unlockable. You could see what she's looking at.
Yeah. Get your subscription to Bearskin Magazine today.
I'm just fucking with you.
And the awkwardness of that moment.
But it's also such a great moment of levity between the two of them.
I don't know, that's kind of a way of her complimenting him or trying to bond with him.
Yeah.
And it's something I was very conscious of when like writing this stuff. It was like, this is making me uncomfortable here on the page. I have to leave it as is.
Yeah. That's your litmus test.
I'm not even tired.
I love that. Not even tired. Cut to passed out. This is the first scene because it was part of that reveal trailer. It's the first scene that I ever saw put together fully, and I was just absolutely blown away how good it looked. It was the first time I'd actually seen, real flesh and bone put on Joel and Ellie.
And the yawn we added after the fact.
I remember
Yeah.
Because
that.
we were like, she doesn't have a yawn. She should have a yawn when she wakes up. And then you were yawning on the set, and we're all yawning because it's contagious.
I know, just watching that, I just yawned. I tried to be quiet about it.
I love that this moment of silence and kind of peacefulness is broken up by this.
Are we gonna help?
So Joel knows this trick.
What about the guy?
He knows it because he's done this before.
Right. Poor John Bentley. And I love again how that music is playing not as a score, but coming from the car. It's just great.
I believe that was Ruben that we hit and
Yeah,
had
that
him
was
fly,
Ruben.
fly off the truck like that. This was also the first really dramatic scene we shot, and it became kind of the touchstone for how the characters should look when they're
I feel sick.
really pushed.
It's so interesting when she's, again, it's this moment of vulnerability when she says, I feel sick, and Joel's,
Glad I didn't, right?
again, being very didactic and pushing her away.
Goddamn kid.
She stands up for herself. This is the first time she stood up for herself.
How about, hey, Ellie? I know it wasn't easy, but it was either him or me.
And I love that line,
For saving my ass.
it's either him or me.
Anything like that
Come
for
back
me,
to
Joel?
that.
And he can't do it. He can't admit that she saved his life.
Lead the way.
So this is, in the story, the first time Joel really is trusting Ellie and seeing her as pretty much an equal to him. That he has to rely on her to survive in this world.
This is
survive
one of the
this journey.
first cinematics that we saw too, and we just
Yeah.
it's still one of our favorites. We keep coming back to it and laughing because I love this exchange between the two of
What
them.
about me?
You stay here.
This is so stupid. We'd have more of a fucking chance if you let me help.
I am. You seem to know your way around a gun. You reckon you can handle that?
I sort of shot a rifle before.
He's like, shit, rats, that's it? Fuck.
BBs.
I love that line. Oh shit! Here's what we gotta work with.
We usually avoid these kind of cameras that rotate around something that are trying to do too much, but it felt like this moment kind of needed it.
Yeah, I love
It's
it.
a weird parent-kid moment.
Yeah.
As soon as you fire,
But he's teaching her how to shoot to kill.
Get another round in there quick. Listen to me. If I get into trouble,
There's a really nice,
every
when I watch like Ellie's performance, this balance between she's trying to be a hard ass, but you could see in her eyes she's kind of terrified of the situation.
Yeah.
But even in this, there's almost a little bit of excitement there too. Either whether it's about the reality of her killing isn't real, or if it's just I have an opportunity to make Joel proud.
Opening up, opening up.
You're welcome.
Such an interesting look on your face here, because it's almost like I did good, but then you feel horrified by it. So interesting.
It's like, even though Ellie's used to killing, used to seeing this stuff in this world, it was still important to show this is having an effect on her.
Right.
And you're going to see that kind of carry throughout the game.
Well, it also kind of carries over into this moment as well, too, because I realized what I just put her through. I love the way that, we took that away from her. It's like almost gingerly. It's like, give me that.
It's like you can't really compliment it because
You did
just what
good.
you
Yeah,
had,
there's no
yeah.
pat on the back. But then I turn around and I give her this, and it's like you said, there's a sadness to it.
Yeah, it's sad that in this world, these are the things that you have to bond over. Like, here's your gun.
And that's the reward.
Yeah.
But that knot of understanding is great.
Brandon and Najee.
There you go.
Yep.
Brandon, I think, had the hardest audition of anyone.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because I literally almost took off his head. Not in this scene, not punching him. That fortunately was done by Ruben Langdon, who can punch way better than I can.
Leave him alone.
And Najee, too, when he came in red for Sam, that had that,
It's all right. They're not the bad guys. Lower the
just this kid that's kind of terrified to live in this world.
Yeah.
Man, you hit hard.
Yeah, well, I was trying to kill you.
And these two characters are really showing, they're kind of a mirror of Joel and Ellie's relationship.
If you haven't noticed, they don't keep kids.
And it's another warning for Joel, like this whole arc for Henry and Sam of what's going to happen if you stick with this girl. You're going to go through what these two characters are going to eventually end up.
I do like that Sam is a character that
His name was Joel.
seems genuinely scared, because a lot of the other characters
We don't know that.
can tend to be a little bit more badassy,
Right.
and he's just,
Brilliant idea of
he's young and he's scared. And
He
I
also-
love that.
To me, he also comes across very sullen. Like
Yeah.
there's like just a little glimmer of hope and joy, but it's almost like anytime there is a moment of that, then Henry kind of takes that away from
It
him.
also gives Ellie an opportunity to play a mentor of sorts for him.
got a hideout not too far from
Yeah.
here. Be safer if we chat there.
All right, take us there.
Welcome to my office.
One thing that I think made Brandon such a great choice for this and the right choice for this is this scene about how much he owned it and the pride that he had in showing off this wonderful camp that they had made for themselves and kind of like trying to impress Joel, and Joel just come, very nonplussed about the whole thing. He's like, oh, good for you. You've done this.
And relax. We're safe.
Well, the interesting thing, the way I read it is like Joel is impressed, but he's not. He's trying not
Not
to
gonna
show.
show
He's
it.
trying to still test this kid. But there's a lot of he sees himself in Henry.
Yeah. Very, very much so. This is, I remember we going back and forth about this because,
Oh yeah, because layout changed. Because initially they were going to go through the camp
Right.
at night, and then we had to change the layout, so we had to go in and re-record these lines.
That's our window.
well, and there's something on the reverse that it doesn't really matter, but
Oh, it'll work.
when we shot this, the entire time that he was laying out this plan, I was just looking at him because it's like, I really care about your plan, kid. I care more about you. It's kind of like poker. You don't play the cards, you play the man.
Again, one of those fleeting moments where kids can be kids.
She doesn't seem bothered by all this.
Such a powerful line. And Joel completely just dismisses it. You guys were actually doing that in the background while we were doing this scene. It was so great. It wasn't like shot separately.
I know, we were just fooling around. You guys like, shut up.
It just seems like there's a lot of people putting their stock on the Fireflies these days.
Yeah, maybe there's a reason for that.
So you don't know.
I love this standoff, even though it's a sit-off almost between the two of them, where Joel's just pushing him for information just to see where this kid's grounded. That nod.
Yeah, the threat being so subtle, but it's there.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, again, that Brandon did with this that everybody else didn't do. They kind of really got in Joel's face, and he didn't. He didn't posture himself that much. It was just like,
This is us.
I'll take care of mine, you take care of yours.
Abandoned military radio station. Just
And
like
also that he doesn't correct him about your daughter.
they're supposed to meet us there tomorrow.
Joel doesn't correct him. He's not, she's not my
You
daughter.
and your girl, you want to join us? It goes down tonight.
I guess we best rest up then.
And I guess that's the most Joel's gonna give him.
Yeah. That's all Henry needs. Joel sleeping again. These were my favorite scenes where I just got to sleep.
No, we're gonna be moving fast, okay?
And
So no
the
matter
idea
what
of these
you
two
take
pairs that
like
are coming together.
like glue. Got it. Good.
And they were just, such great brothers.
Y'all ready?
Brandon and Aji did such a great job together.
How many bullets do you have left?
I just remember it was funny because jumping off of this bridge, there's just
A rope.
a line of tape, and then you have to like jump off of it.
Because
So
we were
it's
both
funny.
stepping over it at first. They're like, no, this is like 50 feet down.
I know, like,
right.
oh, so we got to do a whole thing.
It looks ridiculous what we're doing. It's like, ah, with our arms above our
I
head.
know.
And this part where you're in the water, we had you on a cart.
That's right.
And
They
we
were,
just
like,
pushed you
wheeling around.
across
Yeah.
mocap stage.
It was actually pretty violent being on that.
It was.
It's pretty scary. This was part of the audition scene that Brandon did that really just kind of helped us realize we had the right Henry.
He's awake.
Back to the salesman, it's like, hey, buddy, everything's okay.
I
Everything's
know.
all right.
I really like that about his character, that he's kind of a salesman.
You know, Sam's the one who spotted you. You guys are taking quite a bit of water. What's wrong? Henry! Get back, hey. He's pissed, but he's not gonna do anything.
You sure about that?
Stop!
He's confident. He knows he can calm you down, but he needs Sam to stay out of the way.
Right, just in case.
Yeah.
Chance of making it, and you did. Coming back for you, with putting him at risk. Stay back.
I think there's already the change there. Joel knows it's true.
Come back
Yeah.
for us.
Joel wouldn't have come back for him.
I saved you.
And even when we were shooting this too, I mean, that's you really get into that moment, and every time that I felt that hand on my shoulder, it's almost like that Hulk moment where you realize, oh, I felt bad for letting you see that part of me, because so far I really haven't, in these moments, let that demon out. I've done what I've had to do, but this is just cold-blooded murder I'm about to do.
The thing with Henry, which Brandon really brought to it, which is making light of everything for Sam. Everything is done for Sam. I
Right.
think he really is intimidated. He is scared in the situation, but he's making light of it so Sam isn't as scared as he is.
Because the second that Sam sees that he's scared,
Yeah.
Sam will be scared. Silver lining kid.
We'll be really happy you didn't kill me.
This is the longest
Short
cinematic
scene.
in the game.
I think it's time we quit this
I
place.
had to fit that in there. Quit this place from this, since we had it
Right.
in the first trailer.
I can't quit you.
I remember when we first, the very, very beginning of this, when we like did the first table read through this and everything, and we talked about, I asked if there was going to be a moment of
Tommy's birthday.
just a light shining through in this darkness, and you talked about this scene, and at that point it was just really kind of just real easy brushstrokes of what it was going to be, and it really came into fruition and became this
Well, all the characters here have their guard down. It's kind of
Yeah.
unique because usually somebody's lying or somebody's hiding something.
Right.
And here's like everybody has their guard down.
they're just talking about motorcycles.
You two deserve a little privacy.
And you were really giving too on this. We spent a lot of time on this, and there was this one scene where you just kind of let me ramble about to where we really feel like we're coming midway into a conversation. I don't remember what was said, but it was just this cool moment.
But you went more into the details of like with Tommy and where you went and the states and all that stuff. I think that really helped kind of make this, the following takes much more natural.
Right, without all the rest of that
Yeah.
stuff, the preamble being there.
I don't think
But I love the turn that he gives right here. It's like the kids have gone to bed now, and we can just talk like adults.
worst part about it all.
Animation and lighting, right? If you don't capture these looks in the eyes, this scene doesn't work.
Right. The thing that I love about this is that he's set up a little office for himself, kind of like what Henry did. You know, it's this, I'm being official, trying to be a grown-up. He's still a kid, and we see it in this moment.
I really enjoyed working with Brandon and Najee. Just having them on set was so much fun. They're such
Najee
great
especially,
dudes.
like
Najee's
a trip.
hilarious.
we're doing this crazy scene and we like cut and then he's like just starting dancing or
Yeah.
Singing whatever, you know, YouTube hot song at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, song bombing us all day.
They were so much fun. I just adore them too.
Is everything all right?
You got an opportunity to put so much of you into Ellie.
that's just because I can't write, so I just listen to Ashley talk and it was like, oh, that's a good line.
Have a good night.
That's giving me way too much credit.
How is it that you're never scared?
It's like
Who says that I'm not?
putting up the defense, making joke of it as Ellie does.
Yeah.
And then seeing when she needs to, because that's the only way she's gonna cheer him up, she's gonna open up to him.
And also, she kind of throws out that bone, like, you know, scorpions are pretty creepy. That's not what I want to talk about.
Being by myself.
Which again, all this stuff she's saying here plays into what happens later when she finds out Joel's trying to give her up, giving her away to Tommy.
Yeah.
Those things out there. What if the
And it's
people
kind of the
who
same
live
thing we're seeing with Tess,
What if they're trapped
to
in
where
one
she
and
was,
control their body?
again, she knows what's going on, he knows what's going on, but it's looking externally for some kind of either comfort or hope or answer or something.
First of all, we're a team now.
And then they just
We're gonna help
always
each
come
other
up
out.
empty.
Second,
Here's one thing I'm just thinking about now, which is all the stuff Sam is going through because he's bitten.
is
It's
not
probably the stuff Ellie went through when she was first bitten, because she thought she was going to turn.
Says that they've moved
And it
on.
just happens that she
Never
was
moved
immune.
on.
But so that's what she kind of,
Do you think that's true?
all these realizations she's had.
I go back and forth. I mean, I'd like to believe it.
It's a powerful thing for essentially,
It's kind of
kid to
sad because
say.
that's not what Sam wants to hear. He
Right.
wants to
Yeah.
hear that it's all going to be all right.
Right.
But she doesn't realize that's what
no,
he
death is terrible. It's a horrible, painful process, and you're all alone, you know?
I almost forgot. There. If he doesn't know about it, he can't take it away. All right.
This did make me sad because,
I'll see you tomorrow.
you know, he spent that whole night alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Henry didn't go back in there.
I let him sleep in, just like,
Yeah, let
Ah.
him sleep in.
oh.
And that was the last conversation he had. And that always made me so sad after I read that because I was like, oh,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And what would have happened if Henry had gone in there? I mean, the fact that
Smells good.
that Henry wasn't there, I mean, plays into, you know, the culmination of this scene where he's just racked with guilt.
I mean, one thing we're very conscious of when putting the story together is we would have these really kind of dramatic moments that change the characters significantly, and then we would cut to some more time in the future.
Yeah.
And so you don't get to see right afterwards what happened to it, and then you get hints of how this affected the relationship, which is what you get into the next gameplay sequence. And this whole thing is, it's a huge change in Joel here, because now he sees, this is what's going to happen to me. The same thing that's happening to Henry right now is what would happen to me if I'm going to keep going and let Ellie get hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's going to, after this moment, he makes the choice, like, I need to give her to Tommy.
Oh my god.
Sam?
Oh no.
I have no idea what that would do to a person to actually see that, to have to do that.
Ellie, stay there.
Yeah, I remember talking with Brandon about this when he's saying it's all your fault. He's not talking to Joel, he's talking to himself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, easy.
Yeah, the thing that's cool with this piece, Gustavo's music, is that you're carrying that weight. You're carrying the weight of that emotion of everything just happened onto the next scene, which even though they might not be thinking about Henry and Sam right this moment, but it's just that feeling is lingering going forward.